Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. So, the topic that we're going to discuss today is kind of controversial. I believe there are good ideas within it and bad ideas within it, and we'll just cover my thoughts. You can leave your comments down below on what you think about it. And if you enjoy these kind of videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, do all of those things. What we're going to be talking about today is, should you be buying preps with credit? Should you be taking out loans for prepping? Should you be borrowing money from people for prepping? Just any money that doesn't directly go into your bank account or you get in your check from your everyday job. Should you be, using that to get preps? For some things, I would say absolutely not. You should definitely budget better. You should definitely, get your priorities in order on what you believe you need versus what you think you want. And a lot of prepping can come down to your lifestyle. So if you're the kind of person that wants to go out to the bar every Friday night, then you're probably not going to have as much that you can set aside for prepping. Or if you're the kind of person that says, hey, the holiday seasons are coming up and I would really like to get 3 or 4 extra PMags, or get a Sawyer Mini water filter. I put those on my Christmas list. I want solar, all of these different things. So I would say for your everyday things like food, water, ammo, medical supplies, things like that, you should definitely have a budget for your preps. You should take the time to type something out or write it down saying, this is the money that I have left over each month after I pay all of my bills, and this is what I can comfortably put into prepping. And when I say all of your bills, I'm even including, your 401ks, your retirement, your savings account for your rainy days. Your prepping money should come last. But if you treat it like any other bill, then it's already a part of, your income. I'm on my way to go donate plasma, and I know from the $120 I get a week, I spend about 30 of it on prepping. And that's just extra money that I'm doing extra things to make a little bit more, and it's going towards prepping. The other 90 goes towards, putting stuff in savings, paying off, loans earlier for the cars and different things like that. The things that I would say that you should, put on cards, get a loan for, ask people for money, is, I made a video about the freeze dryer that we got. And once a week, we run the freeze dryer just for prepping foods. And I asked a friend of mine to go halfsies with me on it because the machine costs $4,000. And, he's part of my prepping group. And, the plan is to pay him back partially in, money for the machine, but also when we see each other again, here's, 2 or 3 weeks worth of freeze-dried meals. So that's something that I would say you should, go out, take a loan on. Other things, I have designed a little water tower that I want to build out at the bug out location. And the water storage is, I think, $580 for like this 240 gallon, or I just remember the cost being about $500. And I do think it's a good idea to put that money on a credit card for Lowe's, Home Depot. We're looking at just getting a gift card because I already have the Best Buy card, because I get points for spending money on my Best Buy card. So it makes sense to do that, because for every $100 I get, I think, 10 reward dollars. So it's like I'm only spending $4.50 because I'm getting $50 in reward points, because they're doing a double point thing. So that makes sense. And with the card set up, I pay my $50 a month. I'm not just paying the minimums, but if I had to only pay the minimums, I think that is one of those purchases that makes sense to, it's a bigger ticket purchase. Or if you're looking at purchasing land, that's, for most people, that it's completely out of the question to say that I can drop tens of thousands of dollars to get a bug out location, or a location to do off-grid living and try to create a homestead. So those are things that I would say, yes, you probably should get a loan for. I'm driving a Nissan Versa. It's somewhere in the works, in the plans, to get a truck. I'm going to buy a brand new truck, going to put a lot of money into making this a bug out vehicle. So it's got the tent and can pull a camper and do all of those different things. It's serving two purposes, because it's going to replace the car, but it's also there for the prepping stuff as well. And so you really have to set the number for yourself on what you should put on credit versus what you shouldn't put on credit. Because like for this freeze dryer, if we would have saved the money up to purchase it outright, it would have taken us about 8 months of saving up. And that's 8 months that we could have lost out on putting away more food preps, and running the freeze-dried candy business and doing that stuff. So the return on investment is a much quicker turnaround for us, which once the machine's paid off, then that also creates a few extra $100 of income that can be spread out towards, we're putting more into this savings account, and we're putting more into, like, I think by June of next year, there's going to be a few $100 extra that can go strictly into prepping, which means we're accomplishing our prepping goals quicker by working more. And it's not so much of a prepping thing, it's just a common sense thing that you should have a rainy day fund set aside for if you get sick or hurt at work or whatever. But also having the savings, the next probably most expensive prepping thing to purchase is going to be batteries and solar panels for the bug out location. And so instead of taking a loan out for that, making payments, and then making a little bit extra, maybe we can pay for more of it up front, or the whole thing up front. The shed that I'm building out there, that's all being built with the extra income from each month. The only thing that needs to go up is a floor and a roof. The walls can come later. You don't have to put yourself in debt to add stuff to your preps, and you really shouldn't, because especially with the way inflation is, if you went out and bought 6 months worth of food, you are going to be spending a lot more money than if you just got 3 or 4 days worth of prepping food every time you went grocery shopping. after you do 1 or 2 months of adding, 3 or 4 days worth of food preps aside, you're already much better off than 90% of Americans anyway. And you have a system that is not, you're going to be spending more money paying interest rates off on credit cards and all of these different loan options than if you would just, wait on those sort of things. Sometimes there's really good deals, and, I would say that's one of those, case by case situations on should I put something on a credit card. Like, brother's talking about getting a safe. We're kind of waiting for the Black Friday time frame to see, what the deals are, how much cheaper are they going to get, and maybe is that something that we're going to go ahead and add to credit. You really don't know. But if you have absolutely no preps and you're just now starting out, maybe your mentality is you think the world's going to fall apart tomorrow. It's one of those things, I kind of treat it like, in the NFL when it's 4th down and they're in their own territory. When they convert their 4th down, everyone thinks the coach is a genius and it was the smart thing to do. But when they don't convert it and, the ball changes hands, it's like, maybe they should have punted it so that, they're not giving the other team a easier chance of scoring. So, if you went out and bought a year's worth of food preps and, 3 weeks into it before you had to make your first payment on your loan, the crap hit the fan and the loan doesn't really matter much at that point, you're going to be going hallelujah. I knew it was a good idea that I got a year worth of food preps. But if things don't go south for however, let's say you're spending 2 years paying off, that, borrowed money, and you paid an extra, 8% on top of that money. Well, that's about what inflation is. So now you're paying about 16% on top of that money. And it might be a few years before you really get your money's worth out of, making that big purchase. So there's not a right or wrong answer to this, but I think your best option is, budget with what you have. If every week you can only put $10 into prepping, that's what you can put into prepping. I remember, several months like that in college where I didn't buy anything for prepping because I didn't have the extra money. I was, the average broke college student. And I can remember, the first year of, subbing for, the school district that I work in, and, getting all of your bills laid out to where you can spend $100 a month in prepping. It makes a world of difference. And, as long as you stay on top of everything else, you're not eating out all the time, you're not racking up your credit cards on useless stuff, then you can, spend more on your preps. And if you feel like you aren't spending enough on your preps, then you can also, work a second job. You can, request more hours at your current job. You can cut back on things. It doesn't seem like much, but, for several years I had Spotify. I was paying $9 a month to have ad-free music. I cut that out. That's 72 extra dollars. No, I'm doing that math wrong. 108 extra dollars a year that can go into anything else. So you might need to take a step back, reevaluate your priorities, write down everything you're spending money on. And if you just went out and got a Hellcat, and you're spending $1,400 a month on a car payment, probably not going to have much left over and set aside for prepping. And really, treat your prepping like a monthly expense. Write out what you need to get, write out what you want to add to, and once you hit that goal, that fund goes into something else. For me, my goal was to have the 18 months worth of food. That's all I put my prepping money into for almost 2 years. Once I hit that point, I quit putting money into food, and I started putting it into water storage and ammo, or I don't remember exactly what I put it into, but with the mindset of stacking to the rafters, it doesn't take you very long to see a really see your stack, your hoard, whatever you want to call it, grow. And to that, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. I've ranted long enough. So what are your thoughts on this? Should you spend credit to get prepping supplies? Should you not? Is there some sort of happy medium? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. And with that, catch you in the next one.